Okay, good morning. Today we're working on our third eye chakra, or the sixth chakra. And as you all know, I show you the chakras that I learned many years ago were very simple. You see how simple that is with the unique triangle and so forth? Can you see that? Very clearly down here. Then this is the more modern third eye chakra. But if you notice, it still has the triangle of the female energy, and within it lies the linga, or the male energy. And now, and remember the first chakra, this was black. Well, now this all becomes white. It all becomes white when it starts to mature. So let's ask some questions about if we have any little problems in that sixth chakra area. Number one is, do you have difficulty following through with your goals of life? Is it hard to stay on that avenue of achieving your goals? Number two is, do you judge other people's belief, their religion, or spirituality? Just put a yes and a no behind this, and then you'll know these are the questions that you really have to work on when you activate your chakra. Also, do you usually blame others for your life's conditions? That's a big one, because so often we hear people do that. Also, do you have a problem with visualization? Now, why are we talking about visualization? Because when the third chakra, all of your symbols come through the back part of your head. And so, and that's how we have to visualize things in order to have them materialize. How about frequent nightmares? That your nightmares are all mixed up. That could be sometime because we're not getting the proper information that's being fed to us. It's on another frequency of maybe a little bit of negative vibrations here. And the same way with disturbed sleep, when you panic when you get up and things like that. Could be you brought something with you from a former dimension. And we can work on that because you're going to become aware of that. Okay, do you also make commitments that you don't follow? That's a big one. You find so many people make these wonderful commitments to all different kinds of organizations, and they don't follow through with what their commitments are. So that's a big one, telling us there's something very mixed up in this chakra area. And do you have difficulty recognizing your lower and your higher self? Now, what does that mean? That means that we have a lower and we have a higher self. And sometimes we recognize if we have a problem, like supposing you didn't like yourself that day, you're recognizing that lower self. And do you recognize the high part when you're doing what you need to be doing for others and yourself? So let's start with this whole chakra. The sixth chakra, the location is above the eyes and between the eyes, and the midline and the front of your head here. And it also is in the same level in the back of your head. This is the back chakra. So this is where our locations are. And usually this color varies. It varies for people, like an indigo blue, or a purplish, or maybe purplish red. Everybody has a different color. Now, so often when people teach chakras, they'll say, this is the way it has to be. No, there's many shades in the spirit world that you're going to see. So it might not be that particular purple. It might not be this blue. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's different for everybody. So remember that when they say they're just giving you guidelines, it's in the red line, the yellow line, the blue line, you know. So let's remember that when people speak, because it can confuse you to see where you are on your journey of life. And they'll say, no, you have to see purple. That's not so. You can have a vision of your purple in that purple family. And of course, we know the physical associations is with the eyes, your visionary pathway, and all the head areas. And so we all know that at times everything is affected. Sometimes before we see vision, we become blurred. And sometimes it's to worry about, but also sometimes it's just spirit working. So we have to remember that the spiritual associations with this is clairvoyance. And that allows you to see clearly beyond the veil or the horizon. And when you first begin to see clairvoyance, it might not be clear. It could just be a vision of an outline of an individual, or they could actually tell you what they look like and who they are. Also, it's intuition, your gut feeling, because this also goes with your solar plexus. So it's your gut feeling, your psychic, and not only that, but guess what? It's also wisdom is associated with this chakra. And sometimes people use oils to open up their chakra and so forth. And I guess this is okay if that's all right with you. It's fine. Usually they say rose, geranium. Sometimes they use violet, different things for different people. So we also know that the third eye is the Christ consciousness center. It's the Christ consciousness center. And as we said before, if I repeat, it's because I need you to understand this chakra completely. Remember when I said it's connected to the solar plexus? The chakras run, they run in combination, so it'd be third eye and the solar plexus. They work together. Also, the meditation for your third eye is Om. Now, the Om represents the sun or the third eye, and the M represents the moon. So when we have this Om, and we close our eyes, we can almost see that vibration going out, that energy flowing. And also, when we have this chakra open, the auroric fields go to about 48, 60 inches. It's a nice wide one. And the element is usually electric. It's electric. You get electrified. A lot of times when this chakra is opening, the energy from you can, I believe, my truth is, you can maybe out in lights with it. You know, light bulbs go and electrical things go. And then I think this is when, because it's electric element, that these things usually take course. And also, we know the senses are vision and also the sense of thought. When we see something, we need to know that the thought that comes with it activates what we truly see. Excuse me with that. And also, the statement for this affirming is, I see clearly. Because we can see spiritually and we can see visually. So you want to make sure that you are seeing clearly when you see something, when you look at something. Also, the glands, this is a very extensive part of this chakra, is the glands associated with it are the pituitary and the pineal. And the pineal gland is located deep within your brain. Deep within your brain. And this is the mystery gland of many avenues of thinking. Many metaphysical theories surround the function of this gland. And it's usually, and it is associated with the third eye. So your third eye here and your pineal gland right in the center. Visualize your brain right in the center of your brain. And it is believed to be the dominant organ that can awaken and enable us to have telepathic communication. Why? Because the pineal gland and the pituitary, the pineal gland will stand up, just like a little antenna on a radio. And the pineal gland, this is the part that's the reality called the third eye. Metaphysicians know that this is a mysterious power that we have. And it may be considered the spiritual eye. It's our inner vision. Isn't that wonderful? We have this inner vision with this pineal gland. And it's very small. It's only the size of a pea. Wow, that's how small this powerful gland is. In addition to the center of the brain is a little cave behind the pituitary. Now imagine a little cave. And the pituitary gland lies a little behind the root of the nose, behind the eyes. So, this pineal gland is activated by the light that comes into our brain. It's activated by light. What we see, our thought patterns of light. This is what activates it. And this is what's so important. It controls the biorhythms of our complete body. And it works with a harmony with the hypothalamus gland. Wow. And the hypothalamus gland, which directs our body's thirst, our hunger, our sexual desires, and the biological clock that also determines our aging process. So this is important to the pineal and the pituitary gland. So when this pineal gland awakens, one feels a bit of pressure in the base of their brain. So I would think the base of the brain will be right here at the end of your occipital. The occipital bone, your brain is right inside that bone. So sometimes when people have a head injury, this automatically will open up and have that pineal gland activated because of the pressure. And they'll find out they're very clairvoyant and they know all these things. I'm sure you saw movies like this, that this happened to people. And I think it can actually do that. The old mystical and esoteric schools have always known that this area is connected to the physical and the spiritual worlds. They know that this is the connection to another world. This gland is the most important with carrying the highest source of etheric energy. This is the energy, the etheric energy that's available to us. That's what's so important because we forget that. It's there. It's there. That energy is there for us to just absorb and to work with. It's the higher vision which connects us to the higher planes. The higher planes. So this is, the physical eye is our vision for the physical. The pineal gland is the higher vision. The higher vision for the planes. You'll see, to activate the third eye, it's to perceive a higher dimension, and to have the pineal and pituitary must vibrate in unison. So this is why it's very important that we do meditations to activate this in order for the light to come in, for the energy, for the etheric energy and vibrations to come into that area to vibrate both of them. Because this is achieved by good music, good thoughts, and meditation. This is how it's done. So you can sit to all the classes in the world, and if you don't sit and meditate and you don't work on you, it's not going to work for you. When this correct relationship is established between the personality of the individual operating through the pituitary gland, and then the soul starts to operate through the pineal gland, it's the magnetic field that is created. It's a magnetic field that's created, your etheric energy. And this creates the light in your head that activates and vibrates the pineal and the pituitary together. So knowing that the pineal gland corresponds with the divine thought after being touched by this vibrating light of what? Of the kundalini. Remember we talked about the kundalini at the base of the spine. This is the coil that slowly comes up with the chakras. We've gone through this. That's called the kundalini. And we're doing it very gently and very smartly, that it's activated slowly and surely. You don't want this to just happen, because that can be very upsetting to your whole body. If you've ever seen some of those movies when this has happened to people, they really have a lot of problems. So this is why you always want to get into a class that does things on a slower pace, not something that's done in 2 hours. And we've known classes that do the chakras in one class. And you know what? That's not the way to do it. So we have to know that this organ is our spiritual vision. Let's call that organ. Our consciousness is raised by the emotional nature that illuminates. See, we illuminate our awareness also, because we become more aware. When our sense of ego and personality are set aside, do you hear what I'm saying? Our self-ego, like a lot of people have a lot of ego. You have to have ego. Ego is good for the individual, but not when it's overextended, that it doesn't work with the personality. We have to set those aside, and then you'll find out that the mental energy intact becomes conscious of a non-physical. And our inner self and our subconscious begin to work different practice, and it'll activate our light. So this explains a lot when we see an individual who might be clairvoyant and their actions are just terrible, and their egos are all out of line, but they can sometimes give you the most gracious message in the world. It's because they know how to step aside of that false ego that they're carrying around and that personality. And sometimes we can't hardly accept that personality. But now we understand why this happens. We need to remember that the pineal gland is the seat of our memory also. So when it becomes that you open, you're going to receive the wisdom from the universe. And that's the difference between just a clairvoyant and receiving the wisdom. When I'm saying wisdom, I don't mean a message from the first, fourth, fifth level spirits. I'm saying the wisdom from the heavens. That's when that pineal gland is really opened and balanced. Because then we receive that wonderful guidance. And we become less attached to material things. And you'll say, oh, I don't know about that. Yeah, you will. You'll become less attached. It doesn't matter if you have that wonderful sofa or not. It doesn't matter to you as long as you have a sofa. And you know there's going to be no fear of death. That's the wonderful part. Now let me talk a little bit about that. Usually this pineal gland opens at different levels in our life, that it just starts to automatically open gently. That's why you'll see a lot of times people that are older and they're ready to do their passing. They're calm and they say, I'm ready, because they've got the wisdom through the pineal gland. And at the present time, my hair is standing straight up. And that's how you can tell sometimes when you're activated, is your hair. You just get this movement in the center of your soft spot where you were born. Remember the soft spot? Well, and then it becomes that you get the wisdom from the gods and from heaven. And you know that you know. You just know that you know. Now, sometimes this excessive energy in here is when you have excessive energy with an ego. We're talking about the basic physical ego now. It's completely out of control because they only think of me or I. It's I before everything. Instead of we, it's I or me. So we got to remember those as we go along, because that's good. And sometimes they're very proud people. You know, they don't want to, this is when that ego is completely out of control in their third eye, when that energy isn't working right. And then it can also become manipulative. See, these are the unbalanced chakras in the sixth. And actually, they're afraid of success. And so often you'll see that in seminars where you'll have salesmen that will only sell to a point. They're afraid to exceed that selling part. They're afraid of success. And of course, oversensitive. This all goes when we have an imbalance in that third chakra, that sixth chakra, the third eye. So what we really need to remember is that the pineal gland and the pituitary gland are the master glands. And these are also what produces, the pituitary gland produces also the protein and the peptide hormones in our body. And this carries in the capillaries into this gland supply our bloodstream. So thus affecting the pineal gland to stand up straight. So that's the medical part of the pineal gland. So we know that this part is very sensitive to our third eye, and also we need to truly work on that. I'm going to give you a little bit today on the back part of this chakra, because I think it's very important, because we're around people. Through this back chakra is where we receive and obtain the records, and the pictures are sent from the back part of this chakra. And this is where the colors come in. This is where the symbols, the images, they present a reality to us. And just as we studied, they're also linked. It's also linked to the pituitary gland. So the back side is the reflections of the front side. That we reflect it in the front. So this is also important to remember, that we have to make sure that everything is in order, because this is the path. This part of the chakra is known as the path chakra. It's bringing the path into the sixth eye, to your eye here. So we all say that. We asked, when this back chakra is healed completely, I believe this will help visualization, that we can visualize not only what could happen, we could visualize the change. We could visualize the change. And we're starting to do that. In metaphysics, people are visualizing a certain change that they want in their life. And it's working. And this is because they're getting this full chakra working. Because we have to pray to God for the presence of all situations, that the healing, because God's going to give you that gift. Okay, and people often experience this healing and the opening and the gift they receive of this chakra with the white light. That's what's so important, because you'll feel and you'll view this intense white light in your life that it's never been before. It's like an elation. And so we got to remember, when we're totally committed to God, is the path of divine will, and we need to choose that to follow God in this pathway. Because mentally, we are blind to our divine nature. Our visions may be immature, maybe too high or maybe too low. And sometimes with the negativity that's all around us, and it's there, we need to remove ourselves from that darkness and be able to send that white light to that darkness, to remove it and to wash it. Like to wash it. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we could just wash those dark spots in the world? And we can do that. We can do that. And so a lack of a clear picture of who you are is the tendency to adopt somebody else's vision for yourself. So you always want to have your own vision. And this happens with feelings and influence. How many people do you know that are very influenced by somebody else? That's because this chakra is a little bit out of balance. Or they have poor self-esteem and they have a poor image of self. So then you know as a healer, right, what to do, what to work on. You need to work on these chakras. And the spiritual part of this, it shows our soul, which was created, and what it wants to create. It helps that progression of your soul. So when our soul can fully accept this complete journey, the journey will begin. When this light starts, our journey will begin. And that's when you hear some people say, and then the teacher will appear. You'll hear that in a lot of Buddhist things. But we got to remember the healing process of this is slow. It's not instant, and you got to work on it. With meditation, with knowing that love is in your heart, that you can extend kindness to others, and give understanding. That's all part. And then you're going to get that clear, good message through your third eye. And with that, I want to say, you have a good journey. God bless you. You're now preparing for your third chakra meditation. I want you to open your eyes and look at that wonderful, wonderful chakra on your screen. And I want you to look at that as you slowly breathe in and relax. Breathing in very gently. Breathing in very gently. And as we remember, we need to do that wonderful tree exercise where we stand and we see our roots coming out of our feet, down, 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 deep into the earth for grounding. And we bring that wonderful energy up and it surrounds us with the pure energy of the Mother Earth as it meets with the white light of the heavens. You're fully, fully protected now in the white light. And you may feel the tingle going up and down your spine. Feel the light coming down from your crown chakra. Feel that wonderful light from the top of your head. And I want you to affirm, I am welcoming into my life my intention of love and light now for the highest good of myself and the highest good of all others. I offer deep, heartfelt gratitude for the positive changes that have occurred and are occurring in my life today for the highest good and the highest good of all. Now let's focus on the breathing again. Breathing in gently. And if you have a tendency to lose focus, focus on your breathing. Go back and focus on your breathing. I want you to start feeling the warmth, the love, and I want you to see the light within your whole self. Breathe this light into your body. We are now at the point of the vision and the wisdom. Breathe in the light. Remember that you are wrapped into a warm white robe. See yourself in this silken cocoon of warmth. with this light glowing within and without all around yourself. Breathe this very light into every cell of your body.